in that group, so as he can get in. So if he gets in, it's going to be difficult for them to get in there. But like the balance, what he's got is because he's been brutal. There's still players around who probably, when the manager's walking past, are giving him a side eye, not happy with him. Of course there is, because like there's players he's just completely cut off. But he's got this balance and it looks good and it's working, so you can't really argue.
I would have paid money to have seen you in the modern day era amongst 30 Chelsea players being told by
I'd probably be in 11, if I'm going to be honest. I'd like to be confident enough to be in 11.
I think you might have been, just because of your reaction.
Movement into that space you don't expect to get. Really.
Very difficult to pick up, but there was a big space that he ventured into, and it was a great strike.
Yeah, it was a good goal. It was, and the thing is, when you looked at it, there just seemed to be too much space there. I'm sure we're going to go into it at some stage, but it just felt, in this game, I think Neto's probably their best, absolutely right, and coming off of that right is going to be very, very dangerous.
What about Arsenal going in front with the goal? Were you disappointed they couldn't hold that a little bit longer than they did?
Yeah, obviously, but like again, we're not creative, because what you want is the angle's going to get so tight for Martinelli, who we saw miss the earlier. He's now should be coming towards him. There should be no space on that inside. No way. He should be coming towards him now, making it really hard, closing down. So he scored that, and I'm really pleased to see it. But again, I don't think that we create enough chances. That is the problem with Arsenal. We haven't got the killer to know that this game ain't going for us. We might get something like we saw Jackson go through and finish one when he's offside. We need that as well to settle us down. We ain't got that at the moment. That's a worry.
What about that goal from a Chelsea point of view, Frank, defensively?
Yeah, well, you know, it looks too easy at first glance, and then when you actually look at the goal a bit deeper, I think Gusto, as we talk about this higher position, inside position as a fullback, and Madueke out here on the right, he's now, to be fair to Gusto, he runs back, but a right back who's positional has probably got a better view of this in the first place. And then Madueke here has to sit it. He's looking at it, he's jogging, he has to sprint back and see the danger, because now there's a clear overload on that side of the pitch. So the two players on that side of the pitch, they're arriving back. Gusto tries his most to get there, but then Madueke has to help him out. The best teams have wingers that run up and down and up and down, and that's part of it, Noni's development and learning.
And he learnt the hard way there, being punished.
He did. I mean, it is the defender, of course, mentality-wise, they do sprint back, because that's their number one job. An attacking player, if you get a good one, an honest one, they will sort of do it as well. But as Frank said, the best ones, they do it. They're up and down, up and down. It's the hard yards, and they're the ones that, you know, that's the difference in the end. Madueke there, he didn't really bust a gut, did he? He jogged back. He should have sprinted back, and if he did, they possibly could have won the game.
Those things cost you matches. What's going to happen if Chelsea, the better Chelsea get, now they're in the top three, and the better they get, he can't do that, because then Chelsea will lose games because he's not coming back and doing that. So much time he doesn't do it, and so at some stage, if he doesn't start doing that, the manager's going to say, "Well,
What do you two think about the role of the goalkeeper there?
Yeah, I'm surprised that, I mean, most goalkeepers will get into a position. It's the position, really. I think he's got his angle slightly wrong. From behind the goal there, it was the best angle. But normally when a goalkeeper, a cross comes in and they turn and now they're facing the other way, they normally just feel out the post. They get their bearings and they know where they are. And normally their arm would come out and they'd just touch the post or whatever, just to get a feel for where they are. At no point does he look where he is, does he feel. I thought he would stick out his arm now and just feel where the post is. That gives him a reference point. He doesn't. He leaves a huge gap. And, yeah, I mean, if he's a yard to the right, then I don't think you can score anywhere. Righty says maybe he should come out and close the angle even more. Yeah, that's definitely an option. But I purely think from that point of view, he's just got his angles wrong.
Yeah, he's left the only gap that he can score. So he's almost offered up, you know, the answer for him to take it on. If he doesn't and gets his positioning right, I think he's lost his bearings, then the ball's probably coming back into the box, and then it's a defender's responsibility, and Chelsea have got enough numbers that they may have dealt with it then.
And it proved costly.
It did, yeah. I mean, as you mentioned, it was only 10 minutes later that they scored. You know, if you can just hang on for that 15, 20 minutes or whatever, almost get into, you know, they get into panic mode. They're chasing the game then, but to score quite soon after was a huge boost for Arsenal.
Let's get some Arsenal reaction live from Stamford Bridge. Mikel Moreno is waiting to speak to us. Mikel, thanks for joining us. You came on into that game. What did you make of it from an Arsenal point of view, 1-1 in the end?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Well, it was a really tough game. It's always difficult to come to Stamford Bridge and try to get the 3 points. I think the team did an a good job today here, and obviously we wanted to take the 3 points. Unfortunately, we conceded a goal in a mistake, but well, we have to take the positive, regroup, and hope we come healthy and ready after the international break.
Was that a test of character for everyone today after the recent couple of weeks?
Yeah, it hasn't been the easiest weeks, but I think the team is normal that you have periods of time where you're not winning every single game. But I think the character that the team is showing is amazing. Not only before the game or the mentality to when you come to the game, but at the same time today, conceding that goal away from home and not letting the other team dictate the tempo and win the game, but being you, the one who reacts and have the most chances to win the game is also a good.
You burst into the Chelsea penalty area. Were you an inch or two away from the winning goal there?
Yeah, I was a few centimetres away from the winning goal.
Play, of course, Declan Rice being fit. You've missed those players in recent weeks.
Yeah, we are not having the easiest start of the season with a lot of injuries, big names, big players being out, and this is not ideal, obviously. You want to have the whole squad available, not only for the starters, but at the same time for the guys coming off the bench to have more depth. And today having Martin back, having Dex in the 11 again is good news for us. Obviously, it will take time for the team to be completely fit and ready to go. But for sure, I hope we have a bright future ahead of us.
Appreciate you joining us, Mikel. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, guys.
That is Mikel Marino live for you at Stamford Bridge. Back there now for the Chelsea boss.
For a neutral, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the performance was good. We knew them quite well, how difficult it is, and we compete very well. And I think the performance that in this moment for us is very important, was good. So, international break, we can have a rest, recover energy and go again.
It was a lovely goal that Pedro Neto scored for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, the goal. But all the performance from Pedro was very good. To be honest, all of them, they were playing good, compete. The important thing is that until the end, we have been, playing in the way we want to play, brave, try to build from the back always, and we're going to continue on that.
Do you feel that Moises Caicedo, obviously you weren't here last season, but do you feel that he's now putting together a run of matches which is as good as we've seen from him in a Chelsea jersey? I thought he was very good again today.
As you said, I was not here last year, so I don't know. The only thing I can say since I arrived, he has been top professional every day, and he's played fantastic.
How anxious was that last 10 seconds for you when the ball flashed across your goal? And I'm not sure if it was onside or offside, but
No,
it was close.
Yeah, the linesman was with the flag guy, so it was offside. But I think defensively we were very good, probably unless the goal we considered there was some mistake, but for the rest we were good.
And in the steps that you're making with this squad, it's another significant one to challenge Arsenal, go head to head with them, match them and get a good result.
Yeah, it's the way we want to do the things. As you said, try to play face to face against every team. We are Chelsea, so I think it's important also to send this kind of message. And knowing that there are clubs, as I said many times, working with the same manager 5 years, 9 years, so we are in behind of them for sure. But in terms of go for the game and try to win, I said many times, we are Chelsea and we have to do that.
And after he's had his break, he's back at his former club, Leicester, the King Power for Chelsea's next game. He's talking about we are Chelsea trying to win. I'm saying they've only been beaten twice, but they have drawn 4 games. Is that if they can just turn a couple of those into wins, they'd be right in the mix, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they reflect on that a bit, but this is the Premier League. No game is easy. I think they've drawn against Nottingham Forest and we've seen what they're doing. Crystal Palace in the game. Another game they drew, so they will be slightly frustrated with that, but I don't think it's easy to go from 70 to 100 or wherever it is. Sometimes it's a bit of a process and they'll realise that those are the games where they have to, but there are still things that they'll be trying to improve bit by bit. I agree with what you said today, it was a good performance, but can they improve every time they play and close that gap? Yes, I think they're certainly coming at the moment, Chelsea.
And just getting back to that stability, he's only made 15 changes all season to his Premier League team.
Yeah, that's quite impressive.
It's a sea change, isn't it?
It is a sea change. When you looked at the squad, you'd be thinking, how are they going to get any continuity? But he really has stuck to his guns, stuck to the group of players that we touched on earlier, and he's been pretty consistent with who's been playing. Of course, there'll naturally be changes. There's injuries, there's suspensions, and all the rest of it. But he has stuck to it. And I think that's exactly what the doctor ordered for Chelsea at this moment in time. So it's been impressive stuff so far. I've been really impressed with what he's done, stability he's brought, and it's exactly what Chelsea needed.
Yeah, I think the Conference League as well has helped him because when they're playing that competition, the players that are on the fringe or developing slightly, he's been able to go in the midweek. There you go, and they're getting some really good results there. So it's allowed him probably to kind of go, this is my A team generally in the Premier League, and then if you guys want to get into that, here's your opportunity to do so.
No, I totally agree with Frank in respect of the Conference League and how it can give people the opportunity to play. But at the same time, I think him coming from Leicester, doing well at Leicester and come to Chelsea in quite a chaotic kind of environment with what was going on with the amount of players was there, and being, like I mentioned earlier, brutal in the way that he said, right, this is who I'm working with. And now we're, I don't know, maybe this season now we're starting and he seems to have it's going right, Caicedo, Lavia, then you've got the four up front with Sancho as well, whether it's Madueke, Palmer, Jackson and Neto or Sancho. That six up front looks really quite solid and ready to go. Once that back's sorted out, like we mentioned earlier, then you're starting to look at a team that will probably be challenging for Premier League.
Let's go back to Stamford Bridge, talk to our good friend Glenn Hoddle, who's been really close to the action today. Glenn, good to see you. What did you make of that today?
I thought it was a decent game, actually. I really do. I thought there was an edge to it. Great atmosphere here. I thought Chelsea started really well. And Arsenal showed a bit of character. I thought Odegaard did really well to last the 90 minutes, the full game. Had a big say, obviously, in the goal. But it ebbed and flowed, It was. I think a draw was probably the right result, a fair result. But I saw a lot of good things from Chelsea. There's no doubt about that. Arsenal responded under pressure a little bit, been on the back foot. They'll be happy with their performance as well in many ways. So it was a decent game here, Steve. It really was, and good atmosphere.
Hi Glenn, it's Michael. I was just wondering what your thoughts were. Obviously, you sat in that dugout at Stamford Bridge. What do you think of the Chelsea manager and how he's done so far? All the chopping and changing for so many years now, it seemed, but now he looks like he's got a bit of stability.
Well, he's picked off the back of Pochettino. I thought Pochettino was getting it really well. He was getting it right at the back end of the season from Christmas onwards. So he's picked up a really good squad. That's one thing. And I've looked at that squad there. They've got every position gets covered. I think I agree with what Frank said earlier. I said that before the game. The Euro Conference League and the League Cup, his second team get to play, and they get to play in front of packed houses. So I think the harmony in the club, he sorted that out a little bit. Listen, I was behind the bench there. It was interesting, Michael, watching the subs, and all players want to play. It's not all hunky-dory. I can see players were upset about not getting on and some coming off that weren't happy. So, he's done a great job, but he's still got a long way to go. But I think those two other cups are really helping him with keeping players happy. If they go out of them trophies, then I think he'll have a bit more of a problem. But at the moment, he's done a wonderful, wonderful job. And what a good squad he's got. Where Chelsea will be in a year's time will be interesting. I think they'll be looking to really go for possibly the league themselves. They've got such depth. Those two centre-backs, they'll get better and better. They've got cover at that area. For me, they're not far off it. They really aren't. But the harmony that he's keeping and keeping the gel of the players happy, it's easier in them other cup games. It really is. Once, if they continue in that, then I think they'll have a happy camp. But they've got to do that.
Glenn, quick question tactically, because you're always a forward-thinking tactical coach. What's your thoughts on the Gusto position particularly? We see a lot of fullbacks moving into sort of central midfield and positional roles or higher up the pitch, but that sort of high inside number 10 position. What's your thoughts on that?
I thought that, Frank, that tied Palmer down on the left-hand side in that little inside forward position. I wouldn't like to play. I mean, Cucurella's done it, but Cucurella had a job to do on Saka today and did it really well. So you couldn't do it with him. He has in the past. So he's chose the right-hand side to put him in there. But what it does is Palmer was playing on the inside left position. For me, Palmer didn't have his best game today, but he needs to be a real 10 where he can float and go across to the right-hand side, cross to the left-hand side, come into the pockets. He couldn't do that today, and it was easier for Partey to always see where he was. You know, when you're playing as a 10, sometimes you can go up and get picked up by the centre-back and then drift off from that position. The midfield players can't see you because you're off the shoulder of them. And that he couldn't do that today because Gusto was coming in from the right, and he was told to play just inside Neto and play and link up with him. But it tied him down a little bit, Frank. And for me, it didn't work as well as I think it could have done, having Palmer just floating and going right across what I call the arch, really, the archway just behind us a 10.
Fascinating as always, Glenn. Thank you very much indeed. Stay warm.
Cheers.
Enjoy your evening.
Kel, where do you stand on that? Do you lean towards disappointed or do you lean towards being satisfied with what you've seen?
Both, I would say, but obviously the disappointment of not getting these 3 points is bigger, and it will be bigger tomorrow probably after watching it back, because again the team stood up. I think we dominated them. I think we were the better team in many phases and many situations in the game. But after going ahead as well, very disappointed where we concede the goals so poor. It's not in our standards. We don't accept it. And after that, again, the reaction of the team, unbelievable to do here again against this team. To put them in all the problems that we put them, how aggressive we were. Really proud of them, but at the end we are here to get the 3 points and we didn't manage to do it.
What particularly disappointed you with their goal? Because to me, to the untrained eye, it looked like a moment of high quality from long range, but obviously you didn't see it like that.
It's a second phase set piece. We are disorganized because the set piece is organized in a different way to the low block. We don't reorganize quick enough, and then the ball is inside. You cannot allow a pass that way. And then, of course, there is individual quality of Neto to do that, but still, what we do between the defender and the keeper to defend the spaces, in our standards, not good enough.
So just tell us then about the tactical journey of that game, if you like. It looked like maybe first 10, Cole Palmer found quite a bit of space to the side of Thomas Partey. Yeah. Then you seem to address that, and like you say,
had 5 minutes to defend better the space and understand the jumps and the spaces that we had to prevent. When we've done that, obviously we're much more dominant. We regained a lot of the balls. Then they became much more direct because they didn't want to take the risk. We didn't do enough with all the balls that we regained. Again, in open space, we should have damaged them much more. And after that, giving the ball away, sometimes we allowed them to run. Which was the contrary what we wanted, but after that the team it showed them again the commitment, the desire that they have to win, and they are all disappointed there. That's the thing.
So that thing not making the most of regains, is that a confidence thing? Does that come from a few weeks of not getting the results you'd like or not?
It comes a lot of sometimes technical mistakes, sometimes decisions, sometimes the opponent. But again, I'm very proud of the team, how they react, the confidence that they play here. You can play in a different way here. I've seen a lot of teams here, big teams play here, nowhere near what we've done. But we wanted the 3 points and we didn't get them.
What did you make of Martin Odegaard's return? Go on.
I just said to them, a player's been out for 6 weeks, really barely trained with the team for 2 days. To be able to play at this level, 95, 96 minutes in the Premier League is chapeau. It tells you about how he looks after himself and the leadership and the character that he has.
Do you think it just makes a massive difference to the flow? Obviously, in the goal you score, he wins it high, open play goal. He's like the spider at the middle of the web.
Well, that's it. Everything flows better when players like this, and the chemistry that they have with some of them. That's something that we miss because with the injuries that we had, we have to change a lot of time. The fullback, the defensive line, the midfield, the front line. Today we clicked much better. You could see that everything was flowing. We see the difficulties that they had to adjust a lot of things in their high press. But again, it's about winning.
I was lastly just going to ask you, when you get to this final international break of the 3, it sometimes feels like the end of the start of the season. How would you sum up what this first part's been like for you? Injuries, red cards, really challenging fixture list. You find yourself 9 points at the top, which is a lot, but 4 to City. So how do you see where you are, and how's it been for you?
Given perspective, I will analyse everything better right now, but obviously we had a very clear intention how we're going to evolve the team and what we could do as a team, and that was about making the pieces in the car much better, much more efficient, different, more unpredictable. What we find out is that every day we have to change something big. You know, the engine, the wheels, the steering wheel, because we have problem after problem. But the way the team adapts, normally the team goes down. And this team has got an unbelievable energy and spirit and courage to play the way we want to play. So I'm very proud of them.
So is that the big thing for you coming up, to make the team more unpredictable? Your work?
No, but now my biggest fear is physically get everybody at their best, because we have players out there that they cannot play more than 60 minutes, that they are playing struggling, you know, and we have to change a lot of things and affects a lot of things. So what I want at the international break, that we are fully fit and we have the squad equipped, and with that I'm fully confident that we're going to have a great season.
And sorry, I know I'm going on here, but how are Saka and Rice?
They don't look very good, to be fair.
So what, long term or?
I don't know, but they both couldn't finish the game, so not good.
Okay. Thanks, Mikel.
Thank you.
Okay, many interesting facets to that from Mikel Arteta. He's a little worried about Saka and Rice at the end. We'll come to Odegaard in a minute. Lots of praise for the spirit and the courage, but the way Arsenal conceded the goal, he's bitterly disappointed about. Just try and explain to us what exactly is angering himself there.
Well, yeah, when you look at the goal and the amount of space that Neto came into, and you can see it, you can instantly. Obviously, it comes from
two pretty long phases of play. And what happens is Arsenal, if you sit this down now, as Neto plays it to Fernandes and moves out. This is what Arsenal don't normally give you, this space centre. And the reason being is Declan Rice and Partey, the two midfield players, should be in that position. They've had enough time to get into that position. Now that space is far too big. And then rolls on to Declan Rice, and he can't get his shot away. So they'll look back at that with a big bit of regret on that.
A lot would have to go on with that, because even the right back, he would have to come in to push someone across, and then they'll realise, right, I'm coming across. Because if you see that, you can see him, he's out there, the right back, maybe Ben White. When he comes in, then that will push someone else across, but they just didn't get it right in the moment because they're in the game and just like in the heat of the game.
Yeah, Ben White comes inside and says to them, you push up, and then I leave Mudryk. Mudryk's on the other side. He's not the problem. The problem is that central space. And Arsenal, very good. They've played a lot of games where they go into that deep 4-4-2 and they make it really hard to play through you. They've done it against Manchester City with 10 men at times, and then they've just slipped for a moment there and Chelsea score.
And to back that up, that's the first goal they've conceded from outside the penalty area all season, Arsenal.
Yeah, as Frank says, they can get the two blocks in and defend well from a deep position. They were just caught out there, just reshuffling, reorganising a little bit too late. Normally, if the ball goes from one side, because it was a corner one side and it almost goes to the other side, you almost let's keep the positions and defend it like it's a corner from the other side because the cross is coming in. It's once the ball then goes back, I think that's the sign to reshuffle, isn't it, and reorganise and get your midfield players back out, and that's the gap that they left, and that was the problem.
OK, so you're slightly worried about Saka and Rice, but Odegaard, he was talking about there, he's only trained a couple of days with the team, 6 weeks out, he's played the whole game, and not just played the whole game, he's affected the game hugely.
Well, what was interesting, what Mikel said is when you get a player that comes back and he can play at that level for that long, after being out for the time he's been out for, he's done his rehab and all the work he's needed to do very, very well, because he's come back and he's been able to play, 95, 96 minutes. So that's just testament to him, and like the manager was saying, it's testament to him, to his leadership, the fact that he reads everything what's going on out there, how much Arsenal need him at the moment, and he's come in and he's not rushed it. He's not rushed it back, because obviously he wouldn't have been able to last the 96 minutes, whatever it was. And he's come back, and he was one of the main reasons as to why I was a lot more confident at the start of this game, and he proved it.
He's such an important cog in Arsenal's wheel, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he takes up so many great positions that make it difficult for Arsenal to be pressed, because he's always moving in positions. Glenn's talking about there, that little arc, or sort of like floating in, and sometimes he floats outside. It makes it very hard to be picked up. Other players will trust him when they're on the pitch. There's a feeling of confidence within them, and then you just see the extra half a second he takes for his assist, where he stays on the ball and then finds the perfect pass. They've lacked that bit of finesse, and it's made them look a bit more straightforward as a team, I think, without him. Now he's back, I think you're going to see a different Arsenal.
And that's why they've dropped so many points without him. It's not rocket science, is it?
No, listen, every team, as much as we all think it's a team game, and of course it is, there's always going to be a handful of players that are just so important to teams, and they go out the team and it changes virtually everything. Every team has them. You know, it's no surprise. You know, you look at Manchester City and it's Haaland and Rodri. You look at Liverpool, it's Virgil van Dijk. It's Mo Salah. You know, Arsenal, the same, isn't it? Saliba, you know, a huge player, world-class player, Ødegaard. There's just certain players that you really don't want to be without, and he's certainly one of them.
You know what, Steve, the one thing that does worry me is that when you look at Arsenal, I think we've dropped, I think it's 8 points now from leading positions out of the 11 games. We seem to be dropping back, and I'd like to see us still push forward. Because if a team's good enough to break through and then go and score, at least you're trying to be on the front foot. I think that Arsenal, with the points that they're behind, they do need to get back on the front foot because, again, they kind of invited that on.
And you talk about points behind. So after 11, there you go. The most at this stage that people have clawed back, Blackburn and twice Manchester United on 8, and Arsenal are 9 behind. So they have to defy history, but it is possible in this crazy season from now on.
Well, you have to have that hope, don't you? That's the thing. It probably kills you, the hope. But, like, again, seeing Arsenal's team, apart from the left-back, we've got a right-footed player playing in left-back in Jurriën Timber. You know, the team was pretty strong. If we could put that team out and they could stay fit, we obviously got worry now because Saka and Declan Rice. But if you could put that team out, then you have to be confident that they're going to be able to pull it back and win some games. I think the longer they go where they don't win the games, and the more they go away from home, they're going to have to win those games. Because at some stage, because of Arsenal's lack of chances created, at some stage, you're going to have to go on some form of run, Steve, to catch these other teams. That is what's got to happen with Arsenal at some stage.
I think the other thing as well is that it's 8 points, but it was a big step forward today. That was a good performance today. That would give them confidence going forward. If it was 8 points and it was...
They're 9.
Sorry,
8's the most ever achieved from this stage.
But it feels like they were back in business today to me. That felt like a real... That was Arsenal again today. In